I'm Marc Stevens, author of Adventures in Legal Land, host of the No Stay Project, and it was a pretty big week last week, not just with Libertopia. And I had mentioned on the radio show that we had a number of. Well, there was a big train wreck. There was one Adam in Southern California dealt with a referee, as they call them, and it was about as crazy a traffic court judge as you can get. But despite that, we did have some really good things. So I had mentioned on the air and sent this out that Paul in Toronto had a parking ticket thrown out, which was nice. We're still waiting on getting the documentation. Paul's got an order in at the court to get that, so we're glad to see that he did that. I got a number of other things I want to go through, so congratulations again to Paul on that, which was really good that was kicked out. So I want to run through this quick. Let's see what we've got here. First, let's go through. Yeah, we'll go through this first. Okay, this is another traffic ticket that we had in addition to Paul in Toronto. This is Jeffrey in Florida, and it was a traffic ticket. And look at that. It was the police officer's request for dismissal. And you see this was done October 12th. And the police officer filed to withdraw. And it was Lieutenant Paul Ferdig. And it was granted by the traffic hearing officer judge on the 12th. I guess it was the 12th. It was October. October 5th. So this was great. He sent this to me. I was very happy to see that. And so congratulations to Jeff on standing up to the man and getting that thrown out. So that's great. I'll also post copies of these on the website as proof. Let's see. Let's go also to since so many people said I've never helped anybody with taxes get anything kicked out. This is really great, and I haven't gotten one of these in a long time because we don't always get this stuff in writing. But if we see here, we've got from the state of California, there's no such thing, but this is from the Franchise Tax Board. It's a confirmation letter. And, of course, they asked me to wipe out their personal information, but it is a real letter. It is a real notice. So I guess if it came down to it, we really needed to prove if Patty was so inclined, we could provide that information. They could always look up the notice number, and we can verify that this is a real letter. So what they said here, thank you for responding to our request to file a 2008 California tax return. Based on the information you provided, we will take no further action at this time. And the only thing that we were saying that the information we had sent in was basically just an observation that there were no facts that the code was applicable, and there was no evidence, of course, to prove that she was, in fact, a taxpayer with taxable income. So I know naysayers are, well, it just means no further action at this time. Well, we still got them to back off, at least temporarily, and I don't see that this is coming back. But still, documentary evidence that I have helped people get things thrown out tax-wise. So, again, the Franchise Tax Board confirmation letter, that was really, really cool. So I want to go to some of these, and then we had Glenn, when I don't have too many details to give you. Well, once he gets them to me, I'll let you know that we have Glenn in Texas, got 5 criminal traffic charges thrown out on Friday. So he went in for trial, and all 5 criminal charges were thrown out. So another big congratulations to Glenn, and I will post the documents when I get them. I want to go to this. This is really something. This is directly from what's her name? Oh, there it is, Kathleen Barry, who is a deputy attorney general in Maryland, and she filed this nonsense. She filed October 4th, that we got a couple days ago, or last week. And what she says here in 5, we had already had the agent testify that there was no evidence that the code was applicable, and that the victim, my client, was in fact a taxpayer with taxable income. The agent who did the assessments had already admitted that, and so here you have this lawyer who was not involved, and I have the hearing on the website, Marc Stevens done, and I have the entire hearing, so you can hear the agent herself testify under oath. She has no facts. But that doesn't stop the lawyer. That doesn't stop Kathleen. This is a masterful work of propaganda and just sheer legalistic nonsense. Look, you get this. The comptroller denies that it's without jurisdiction and denies that the laws of Maryland and the United States of America don't apply to petitioner, in that the laws of both Maryland and the United States do apply, and comptroller is acting within jurisdictional limits. So all they did was say, no, we do have jurisdiction. The laws do apply. There's no evidence. There's no facts. So it's one thing to deny it, Miss Barry. It's another, you can deny it all day. Your own witness, their own witness, which you can go again, you can listen to Scion testify under oath. She has no evidence. But now this attorney is going to deny that. So who's telling the truth here? Is it the agent? Is it me? Who is it? Well, obviously, it's not this lawyer. And look how weak this is. All she does is stack another opinion here. This is the whole crux. This is her entire position, that the laws apply, in that the laws of both Maryland and the United States do apply. That's all she's got. Amazing. Which really is why we've got this. The code is applicable because the code is applicable, and it just goes round and round and round. This is the nonsense that we get from this woman. The laws don't apply in that the laws do apply. Yeah, that's a pretty solid argument, and I'm the one who's being made fun of. So the last thing I want to talk about, because this is breathtaking in how ridiculous it is. This was actually filed by Lori Hendrickson. Lori Hendrickson, she's the one that was prosecuting Mike, filed a motion for acquittal because there was no evidence. So she gets it right. She gets part of it right. These are the issues that we raised. The government. No, we didn't say the government. We said Lori Hendrickson, the prosecutor, did. So she's confused. She's using the word government as a DBA or a pseudonym. The government did not provide any fact, because we didn't say the government in the motion for acquittal, because there was no evidence that Lori Hendrickson didn't. So she's just substituting government in for herself. The government did not provide any facts proving jurisdiction. The court did not provide the defendant with the presumption of innocence. The court denied effective voir dire. The court denied the defendant the right to effectively cross-examine the witnesses. The court denied objections arbitrarily. The court did not recuse himself. Ed Lodge did not recuse himself from the case. And the government failed to prove willfulness. Now, what's funny is most of us would say these are pretty strong issues. In fact, these issues are so strong, you don't have to show prejudice. And it's not an abuse of discretion. They just had no discretion to do that. The fact that they had no evidence to prove jurisdiction, that's a pretty substantial issue. But Ms. Hendrickson doesn't think so. So when we come down here, she, even in her own statement, says it's a remedy reserved for instances where the evidence preponderates. Is that even a word? It preponderates sufficiently heavily against the verdict, and that a serious miscarriage of justice may have occurred. Got to tell you, if you don't have evidence proving jurisdiction, if there's not a presumption of innocence, if you deny voir dire, if you deny the right of cross-examination, if you deny motions arbitrarily or objections arbitrarily, if you don't recuse yourself when required, that would be a serious miscarriage of justice. She doesn't think so. So she's only going to address one issue. She says the first 6 issues the defendant raises are not relevant to this motion, so the government, meaning Lori Hendrickson, will not address them. Sure. So I want to go down to what's really important here. It says at trial, the government understands that the defendant's second argument centers on the notion that he could not have acted willfully because he legitimately believed the Internal Revenue Code did not apply to him. At trial, the defendant failed to offer any evidence about his belief. Defendant raised the issue during his voir dire and on cross-examination, but it is not evidence unless the defendant is testifying under oath. Therefore, the jury cannot consider any of the defendant's statements during deliberations. The issue should not be considered in this motion. Well, the fact is, the prosecution has the burden of proof. What she doesn't mention here on cross-examination was the fact that Mike did, on cross-examination, asked every single one of the 28 witnesses if they had evidence the code was applicable and that he believed he was required to pay taxes. And Lori Hendrickson objected 28 times or more. And to that the witness had no relevant testimony on those issues. So they presented absolutely no evidence of willfulness. They presented no evidence the code was applicable, no evidence whatsoever that he believed he was actually required to pay taxes. So there was no burden. There was nothing for Mike to actually present because he doesn't have a burden of proof. And yet, here she is saying the defendant did not. It's staggering what these people will do. And this is, of course, Lori Hendrickson. It's amazing, thinking that even though she failed completely to present one shred of evidence, not one fact to show the code was applicable, and that Mike believed he was obligated to pay or file a return also, that somehow she's relieved of her burden because Mike didn't present it. He doesn't have to. I mean, it's just, it's unbelievable what these people get away with. Only a criminal would look at this and say, yeah, the defendant has to produce evidence. No, he doesn't. The prosecution has the full burden of proof. It's ridiculous to say that he has to prove or present any evidence whatsoever that he believed he wasn't required, when the prosecution is required to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did believe he was required. And by her own admission and her own objections, Lori Hendrickson produced no evidence, no witnesses that the code was applicable and that he believed he was required to pay and didn't. They failed to prove anything beyond a reasonable doubt, and it's shameful that he was convicted at all. But thank goodness, at least the jury knew enough to hang on the felonies. We'll be talking about more of this on the Show the No State Project, but I want to give, again, real quick, a big congratulations to everybody for standing up to the man and getting some of these tickets thrown out.